When's the last time you did an interview? How did you do? Were you excited? Were you nervous? Did you get a job? How many of you bombed an interview before? I have bombed an interview before. It's kind of embarrassing, actually. How many of you wanted that job so badly and you thought it was the right one for you, but you didn't get it? I think we've all been there, right? Well, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna share with you how to get that job almost every time. I got 3 tips I wanna share with you on how to interview like a pro. That's coming up next. Hey everybody, Michael FDNIA. Today I wanna share 3 tips interviewing like a pro. So we've all been interviewed and we've been stressed. What I wanna do today is I wanna walk you through how to get that next job. And I don't care if you're interviewing for a CEO position or an entry-level role, it doesn't matter. These tips are applicable to everybody. Now, I'm giving you 3 tips. I say 3 tips, side note, there's like 1,000 tips in here. Maybe not 1,000, but I don't know, 20, 40? Comment down below how many tips I've given. I will likely lose count. Point is, I wanna give you lots of information that's gonna make you competitive for that next job interview. All right, without further ado, let's dive in. First tip, build rapport. Now it sounds easy, and honestly, it really is. It is a matter of you simply just asking the person, how was your day? That's the first start of building rapport. Now, if you want to take it to the next level, what you're gonna do is before you do any interview, now bear in mind, you're gonna have a number of interviews when you're going through the interview process. It's not just one interview. You're gonna have about 3 to maybe 7 or 8. Some companies get a little crazy with interviews, candidly, but you're gonna be interviewed by a lot of people. You wanna build rapport with each of those individuals. Let's look at some ways you can do that. One way you can do that is basically stalk them on social media, right? That is honestly one of the easiest ways to build rapport with somebody. What you're doing is you're trying to find commonalities. And I'm not joking, I'm literally mean that. Because ultimately what they're doing the same when they're looking at you. Maybe they have an Instagram account, Facebook account that's open. Maybe they have like a YouTube channel. Maybe they put some amazing YouTube content out there and you're like, you know what, these videos are amazing. I should totally subscribe to this guy's channel. And matter of fact, he's hilarious. I love him. I'm gonna share this with my friends. Or maybe the person that's interviewing you has done podcasts before, written articles before, has a book. There's probably some element that they have on social media or on the internet that actually can give you some information. And again, what you're trying to do is you're trying to find some common thread, and you're gonna use that common thread in the interview process. Now, how do you do that? Well, we'll say you're about to be interviewed. This is the first interview as the recruiter. That recruiter picks up the phone, you start that conversation. Here's what you don't do. You don't say, hey Bill, how are you doing? Oh, by the way, talked to your mom last night. Yep, she told me, congrats, I know, crazy. You're having twins. Who knew? Oh, I'm sorry, you didn't know that? Oh, did I ruin the surprise? You don't do that, okay? It's a little too extreme. But what you can do is you could simply use it sparingly throughout the interview. Hypothetically, we'll say Bill, the guy interviewing you, did a podcast. And in the podcast, he talked about how rock climbing has really helped him overcome some of his fears. And so during the course of the interview, he mentions to you, hey, by the way, in passing, as you're building rapport, yeah, I do some rock climbing. And maybe it's something that you do as well. Then you can share with him, oh, hey, I rock climb as well. In addition, hey, I heard your interview that you did on that podcast. One of the things you shared that really resonated with me was that you did it because it helped you overcome some of your fears. I found the exact same experience. Boom, rapport, built. Seriously, Bill will always remember you because of that. Now, are some people wondering, is that gonna be creepy? No, it won't be. If someone's giving interviews, someone's putting a video out there, they want people to see it, they want people to connect with them. Those type of things are gonna help Bill remember you. That's what you do. Use it sparingly and strategically throughout the interview process. The second way you build rapport is to strive to learn the problem they are trying to solve. Now, they in this situation, I'm referring to the hiring manager. There's a high probability that Bill, the recruiter, knows specifically the problem they're trying to solve for. What you're gonna wanna do is figure that information out. And you do it a number of ways, and this is one technique I'll share with you that I find very useful. So imagine you're in an interview after you build rapport, you're in conversation with Bill and everything's being wrapped up. Here's what you can do. You could ask him something effective. Can you share a bit more about the issues one might deal with in this position? In addition, do you know what problem the team is trying to solve? So right there is really quite powerful. What you did is you're able to highlight specifically what you want to know, which is the problem statement. The reason we know the problem statement is because you can now assess, can you solve that problem? Now let's say you can solve that problem. This helps you for that next interview. Because remember, there's a series of interviews. The next interview, you're probably gonna interview someone from the team. Eventually, you can interview the hiring manager. If you're prepared at this stage to answer questions to the problem they're trying to solve, that's almost a way to solidify and roll out any other candidate. Because one of the things as a hiring manager, I want to know is I'm hiring someone that can help me solve the problems I'm dealing with. If you can do that, more kudos to you. Now, what if you don't know how to solve the problem? Well, now's a good time to make an assessment. Is this the right job for you? But that's one of the key things you want to do. Strive to learn the problem you're trying to solve. Third element building rapport is simply to remember we are all people. There's sometimes I'm interviewing a candidate and they get really nervous. These are the moments I wish I could tell a person, hey, just relax. It's okay. We're all people. It doesn't matter who you're interviewing with. If you're interviewing with me, the CEO of Microsoft, it doesn't matter. We all put our pants on we all put our pants on one leg at a time? I think that's right. Unless you're really crazy and talented, maybe you do otherwise. But regardless, we're all people. And we all understand what it's like to be interviewed. We've all gone through this process. So just take a breath and relax. You want to come off as natural. You want to come off as relatable. The way you do that is help remind yourself, again, we're all just people. Second tip, interview them. One of the things you should remember is when you're going through this interview process, flip the script. Don't just let them interview you. Now that's what we're all thinking about, right? When I'm interviewing for a job, I'm thinking that. You're thinking that too. Flip the script. Remember, you're also the one interviewing the company. Think of it like dating. Now bear with me here. Think the last time you went on a date, there's a high probability you were nervous, you're apprehensive. The reality is you don't know that person. You're trying to learn the person. That's what dating is. The same is true when you're finding that job. You don't know that company. There's a high probability you have an impression of what that company is, but you won't know it until you're there, until you're working in that organization. But what you want to do is you want to try to fast forward to sort of see what it'd be like. Are they compatible for you? Are you compatible for them? So that leads into the second component I want to talk to you about. Do you see yourself there for the long haul? Now at this stage, you should ask yourself, is this a job, a career, or a calling? Now a job is just that, something you can do most likely for the short term. Think of being a teacher assistant or getting a part-time job, somewhere along those lines. You're not going to be there for the long haul. But if it's not that, if you're trying to develop a career or find your calling, then you want to evaluate that organization differently. You want to know if they're the right match for you. So I'm going to give you some tips. Finding the right match. Number one, don't settle. Aim high. Pick companies or positions that are a little outside your reach. Now, a little outside your reach. Just go for it. YOLO, right? But the beauty about this is you can dial it back. You can scale back to something that's more obtainable, but aim high. Try out for the thing you want. If you want to go to Europe, you want to travel, pick a company that has European offices. That's one way you can do those type of things. Why limit yourself? Aim high. The second thing, peer beyond the veneer. Think about this. Most of these companies have $1 million marketing budgets. They're designed to build a brand and impression. And if you don't know anyone in that organization, you're gonna be at a disadvantage. So what you wanna do is you wanna do your best to peer behind that veneer. Just like when you're dating, you wanna peer behind it. Now in a dating situation, you might ask friends, you might know this person. You might go out and do some more stalking on social media. Same with companies. If you know someone who works there, awesome. Ask them what it's like working there. Maybe you don't know someone that works there. Go to LinkedIn. See if any of your friends know of other connections that work in that organization. Find ways to try to get understanding what that culture's like. Now this is kind of tricky. Sometimes the company culture might be amazing, but that particular team might not be. Now you won't know that, especially working for a big organization. This is where it goes back to interviewing them component. You want to sort of see what it's like. You want to sort of build that rapport so people can level with you. There's some other tricks I have up my sleeve I'll share with you momentarily. Let's jump to the third one. Are they what you need and want? Now the key component here is you have to know what you need and want. Many times people don't. Spend some time to figure out what you need and what you want to accomplish by getting this type of job. So here's a hypothetical. Let's assume you're an engineer and you want to eventually become a CEO. Okay, that's the goal. If you're an engineer, you have a lot of engineering experience, and also you manage an engineering team. The easiest thing to do might be to try to get another job as a manager of an engineering team. Or if you think about it more, you realize in order to be a CEO, you need to develop more skills. You don't have any sales experience, you have no marketing experience, you have no HR experience, and you might not have any operations experience. So those are 4 areas you need to sort of develop or touch at some point in your career. Maybe what you do is jump into operations for an engineering company, or a company that is heavily laden with engineers in management. So that is actually going to help you in your career and your goal to become a CEO. Now, when you're there, maybe use some transfers internally at some point where you can basically get some exposure to other elements like sales or marketing. But that's what you want to do. And this goes back to that third point. Are they what you need and what you want? That's specific to you, and you have to answer that question. Okay, remember to talk about other techniques and tricks I want to share with you? Here's another one. So a third element to think about when you're interviewing them is ask smart questions during the process conversationally. Let's look at a bad question. You could ask, will I have to work weekends? Now look, that's something that everyone's going to want to know when you're interviewing for a job. Work-life balance. You don't come out and ask that question. I mean, bottom line, you can if you want. I would advise against it, but you can. Here's the right way to do that, and it does so much more when you do it this technique. If the person interviewing you tells you in passing, hey, I had to work this past weekend to meet a deadline. That's some information you know they shared with you. That's a great intel. What you want to do is after that's shared, you want to maybe ask them something like, in my current role, I work some Saturdays too. Perfect, because that helps you build rapport. You're connecting with them. You're sharing a common experience. But you don't just stop there. You go a step further and you say something effective. How common is it that you are asked to work weekends? The beauty about that is the focus is on that person, not you. You're showing a sense of sympathy. You're building that rapport, but also the focus is on them. What they answer is going to be quite telling because now that we talk about themselves, you might catch them off guard. Now at this stage, you can now truly assess what the work-life balance might be. Perfect to do when you're trying to figure that out, especially if that person is on the team that you're trying to get on. That'll tell you a lot. And again, those are two techniques. You can do it the bad way, which is just ask them, do I have to work weekends? Or you do it the more strategic way. That's just a pro tip for you. All right, third tip, be present mentally. There's three things here I want to share with you. One, practice early and often. So when I was in college, I interviewed for internships, jobs, etc. multiple times, hundreds of interviews, literally since I was a sophomore to my senior year. Why? Because I wanted to get practice. I would interview for jobs I didn't want. I would encourage you to do the exact same. Interview as much as you can. Get those reps in. Practice makes perfect. Each time, focus on what you can learn from those experiences. That is quite pivotal. The second thing here is relax and get in the right mindset. What does that mean? Well, maybe it means for you to do some yoga, maybe meditation. Maybe when your mother-in-law calls the day of your interview, you don't pick it up. You're like, nope, I will not pick that up this time. Or maybe it means not playing Call of Duty late that night. You want to make sure you're in the best possible mindset, so do whatever you need to do in order to ensure that's the case. The third one, use the STAR method. What is the STAR method? It's simply the way you would address any question that's asked of you where applicable. So you're going to focus on situation, task, action, result. So how do you do that? It's easy. When the person asks you a question, you'll answer by focusing on the situation. Then you'll focus on the task at hand that was asked of you. You'll then talk about the actions you took and the results of your actions. So what does it do for you? One, it helps you stay organized mentally. It helps you make sure you don't forget something. Many times I interview people and lose train of thought. This helps ensure your train of thought is there. It also shows the person that's interviewing you that you're organized and you're concise. Quite powerful and pivotal. Bam! 3 tips. There, we're done. That's it. 3 tips interviewing like a pro. Love to hear from you. Comment down below, how many tips did I give in this entire video? There's probably a lot. In addition, are there any tips I didn't give that you want to share? I'd love to hear from you. Hit the like button if you liked this video, and feel free to subscribe to my channel. In addition, hit the bell icon that's there and there and there and there. Honestly, I have no idea where it is. I didn't want to try anymore. I think I'm just, whatever. The bell icon is somewhere on this screen. Hit it to be reminded of content I create in the future. That's it for me, everyone. I'll chat with you next time. Bye. Here we go, Matt. This is my 4th attempt. Hopefully this one's amazing with no flaws whatsoever. Amazing with no flaws whatsoever. With no flaws whatsoever. When's the last time you did an interview? I'll try it again. When's the last time you did an interview? Okay. Think about the last. Start again. There's some other techniques. There's some other trick. There's some other tricks I have up my sleeve I'll share with you momentarily.